Okay, and then allow the students to also go. Good. So I was saying that the systematic refers to the fact that we belong to a discipline. So there's computer science discipline, and then there is agricultural discipline, then there's marketing discipline, finance discipline. All of these people do research, and what they do in that area tend to be define what is acceptable as research in that particular field of study. So when an engineer puts his research reports down, if you're not very careful and you are an anthropologist, you say, what has he just done? What is this, all these diagrams and figures? You may not be able to relate with it. For example, when I was doing civil engineering, as part of my project work, or you may call it long essay, I developed a software for a student database platform to be able to manage marks, to be able to manage transcripts, to be able to manage my registration, and then examination board meetings for KNUST. And later it was implemented. Now, when I developed such a thing like this, we wrote a manual. Okay, so let me just get some people started development and we came to take over. And then we finished, make it better, and then we wrote a manual for it. And the manual was the thesis I submitted, the manual for the whole software, so that administrators and lecturers can be able to use it. And the university actually used it, that particular manual, to be able to use that particular software. Now, somebody said that developing a manual can be somebody's project. Yes, it can be somebody's project. So for us, the software is there. Now, information systems itself says that it is information system is an equation that has the technology plus the people plus the process plus the policy or procedures. So somebody can study the technology. Somebody can study the people who use the technology or the people who govern the technology. Somebody can also study the process that the technology is supporting, or the process of even developing the technology. And somebody can study the last part, which has to be the procedures and policy that govern the use of the technology. And in all of these things, it's embedded within a system, which can be an organization, or can be an institution, a business, it could be a government. So somebody can do a study which is related to government. So somebody can do an e-government related study, a government an information system which a government will use. For example, when I supervised Honorable Brian Champon, one of the things he did for his PhD was looking at mutual understanding between information system development projects, by looking at government information system development projects, mutual understanding. How do the key players in the information system project establish mutual understanding throughout the project? And that is what he did for his PhD work. Now, somebody else in the same department was looking at the curriculum of Dr. Kevo, who was looking at the curriculum of information systems in Africa. How do we teach information systems in Africa? Somebody else was also doing social commerce ecosystem, trying to understand when you are selling online, what's the ecosystem that enables it to work in a place like Ghana. A person also did the music industry in Ghana and tried to look at how we use technologies to create value for musicians and for other stakeholders in the field. So if you are looking at the information system, it's a very big area. Others are now into, like somebody mentioned, cryptography and then others also look into the security issues. Others can also look into the usage, what user perceptions concerning each of these things. One of our former master students now who has done his PhD and finished, did something on gratification or that people get in using mobile money. So you could actually come from different perspectives of the equation. So don't think that what you have done in the past, it may not necessarily be necessary. I remember a recent study that we're looking into how in Morocco, how farmers in Morocco are using artificial intelligence to be able to do irrigation in the farms. So that could be an extended. And we're not even looking at technology. We're even studying the data aspect of it, and the governance aspect of the data governance within that space. And then there are also students who just finished their PhD that were doing a study on oh, addictions, technology addictions, and looking at people who are addicted to mobile phone usage, and others were looking at gaming usage. So there is so much in the equation that you can look at. You can look at the user, you can look at the adopter or person who adopts the technology to use it. You can also look at those who even approve the technology for it to be used. Now, irrespective of whatever you choose to do it and how to do it, you need to understand the scientific procedures and principles that govern it. Secondly, you also need to understand that there is a structure for doing research. Every research is seeking for answers and to questions. So there are a number of steps that you may follow. And those steps include identifying, designing the study, going to collect data, analyzing the data, and then coming up with a report. Others will also, in terms of design, who will try to design an artifact, will also do some requirement analysis, go out there, and then develop the actual application, and then deploy the application. Even if you want to do the testing application, that's also another type of study. You can do that. So there's quite a number of things that you could do as a student researcher who is trying to do his long essay. Some of the supervisors that you have may tell you to do something based on your organization. Others also tell you to do something outside the organization. But whatever it is, you need to find answers to questions. Answers mean that every research can have an answer. It can be yes or no or maybe, but it's still an answer. But the question that you ask is what is more important, because that's what differentiates your research from another person's research. So Daniel Tete can be doing a research on a mobile phone adoption among carpenters, whilst Daniel Coney is doing a research on mobile phone adoption among apprentices. And then he will also go and collect data in the carpentry industry. But there are differences. Apprentices and how they use mobile phones different from how carpenters who are owners of the micro enterprise will also use the phone. Good. Then someone can even make it more complex. Someone can also look at how people use the phone to be able to enable an activity. So somebody can study. I remember one of the students was using mobile phones and financial literacy. So how does mobile phone enable to gain some financial infrastructure and literacy among the resource poor? So the application of the technology then becomes an issue and becomes what he wants to study. So there's quite a number of things that you can, but the research gains its relevance, usefulness, and importance because of the question that you choose to answer. So when you don't have a question, sometimes you don't have a focus or a drive or a purpose to carry out the research. Now, in trying to do so, we need to have a frame for the research. That means that I will choose certain variables that I'm going to look into. So what I try to explain in the video is to tell you how information system researchers explore different variables in being able to define a research activity. So let's take it for example. If I wanted to do a study on user satisfaction of mobile banking products, what are kind of questions I can ask? Yes, Christine for Mensa. For Mensa. So what are some of the questions I can ask or I can seek to know? Oh, Christine, you're not here with us. Okay, let me go to Derek Daisy. What are some of the questions I could ask if I was doing a study on the use on user satisfaction of mobile banking products? Hey, Derek, you are not there. Hey, Israel.
Prof, I'm here.
Okay. I was asking that in your mind, what do you think are some of the questions I could ask if I was doing a study on mobile banking products and the satisfaction of it?
Okay, you could ask like the key users who are using the more money.
The key users. The key users is more of like a the key users could be who are the users on it. Okay, then what else? Yes, Francis Poku.
What are the most common transactions that users perform?
What are common transactions that users perform? Okay, now that's good. And then Mark Godon.
Please, you can also ask questions concerning the USIs and how user-friendly it is for them to have their way when they are using the mobile banking application.
Yeah. Okay. Now, all the questions that you have asked, most of them are questionnaire questions. They are not research questions. The research questions is broader than the questionnaire question. When you ask what are the most common transactions that I use, you can't actually analyze it at any level. Somebody can say that this is the most common one. But when you ask what is user friendliness is an attribute. Whilst most common transaction is not necessarily an attribute of the technology itself. It's about the use of the technology. So user friendliness means that something that we built it for it to be ease of use. In information system, we call those ones there are two variables that come closer. There's a variable called perceived ease of use. That's how easy it is to use it. Or effort expectancy. How much effort do you need to put in to use it? Then there is also another variable called compatibility, the degree of complexity. That how complex is the application, or compatibility, how compatible it is to me. So user friendliness can be looked at in terms of compatibility, complexity. You see how the research can be. So if you say variables and concept, if I want to study user friendliness, I will look at complexity and then compatibility if I was doing the research. But I cannot look at most common transactions. However, but the most common transaction can inform me that if it is the most common transaction, maybe people find that one easier to use because it is more user friendly. So it is an outcome of the characteristic of being user friendly, not necessarily. So if I was doing the most common transactions, I would rather want to study something like what is the intention to use that particular mobile platform or mobile banking product. Marketing calls it purchase intention, but we are not purchasing, so we are saying usage intention. So the intention to use. So instead of calling the most common transaction, I call it the intention to use. This is where we start steering away from concepts that are in our mind to actual variables that can be measured. Good. Those of you, if you watch the video, you understand what I explain these things very carefully. I don't explain the way the question you ask, but I explain what is the variable and what is the concept in it here. Now they are doing a tutorial. By next week, you would have had more questions. So today, I'm just doing a few minutes with you to explain some of the things that you'll be coming across. So very, very good point that you put there. So if I was studying user friendliness, most common transaction, I rather want to study the intention to use. Now, the intention to use is a variable that is in several types of information systems theories. So let's look at examples online. I don't want to just talk with my mouth. So let's go straight to Google. Okay. And then I'll share my screen. And then to share my screen, I'll go here and find out most common transactions. So our intention to use. Good. Intention to use. So the willingness to use the system. Okay, so I'm going to look at it as a theory. So intention to use theories, that behavioral intention, there are several of them. I mentioned TAM earlier. So the first one you see here on my screen is TAM. The second one here is what we call UTAUT. The third one is called Dillon and McLean. Let's pick all these three. So then let's use TAM first. Then we go to UTAUT, and then we look at the last one probably is Dillon and McLean. Good. So now look at it. TAM says that the intention to use an application, this is the more complex definition of TAM. There's a simpler one. The simpler one removes the attitude from there. But the old one, the one that you created at very first, earlier on, says that, let me use this one and zoom in. Please, can you see it? Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, Prof.
Yes, Prof.
Yeah.
Yes, Prof.
Good. Now you see that perceived usefulness is the degree of which I think is useful. Then the user friendliness that you were mentioning, the ease of use is here. So the ease of use is a variable. The perceived usefulness is a variable that can influence a person's attitude And then if it's a favorable attitude, then it can lead to behavioral intention. If the behavioral intention is good, then it can lead to actual use of the system. But there are some external variables that could actually play. Maybe that could also influence these two variables. The type of technology, so many things could happen. But I just take it the first part. Now, perceived usefulness can also directly influence a person's intention to use. So that if I think it's very useful, my intention to use may be higher. So it could influence that one. So that's what it's trying to tell you. So term was formed very long time ago by Davis. And Davis tried to point out in 1989, tried to point out that these two variables, predominantly usefulness and perceived use of use, predict a person's intention to use any type of technology. So it's called technology acceptance model. Now, when the intention is there, then it can lead to the actual use of the system, then acceptance can be created. But after some time, people were arguing that it doesn't look into other factors that sometimes your friends can even incorporate some behavioral issues come there. For example, some friends can subject you, or if you're in an office, whether it's easy to use or it's useful, the office can say use it. So you can have some things, some norms that can subject you to use it. So where is that one? They started asking these questions. And others were asking that it also could be the fact that there could be other facilitating conditions. Maybe the level of usage of technology, the technology climate there, the internet speed, all these things are things that can influence whether a person will use it or not. So after several research, somebody did a study and came up with another model. I think I was asking for called the UTAUT, which means that the unified theory of acceptance and use of technology. The unified theory, like putting all the technologies together, all the technology theories together, or ways of looking at of use, or looking at adoption of technology or acceptance of technology. We put all of them together. I've now come up with this one. So he says that just came from Venkatash et al., I think from MIT. So performance expectancy, that's the perceived usefulness. He called it performance expectancy. Effort expectancy, that's the same as ease of use. Social influence, that can subject to your friends are buying iPhone, so you also want to use iPhone. Facilitating conditions, things within your income is part of facilitating conditions. It will differentiate us. Okay. And then all these three, the first three will lead to the intention. But the facilitating condition can actually directly affect a person's use behavior. That means that the actual use of the technology. Look, you can intend, but if the money no day, is that not true? Some of you are intending to use iPhone 17 or 16, but has it become a reality?
A
Not
dream so
yet.
far.
Good. Because of the facilitating condition. Some ladies are here are praying that during her birthdays, one of you, the gentleman, will give her iPhone 16. So the birthday should come early.
Yes.
That's the facilitating condition that she's waiting for, that to facilitate the issue, the phone.
It will never come.
Anyway, so if the facilitating condition is right, because the gentleman who buy it, you have to also make sure that it satisfies his facilitating conditions. Then he's influenced socially to do it for you. So if you can give him a social reason of why he should buy it for you, he will buy it for you. And then, but all of these things are influenced by are also moderated. In research, there's something we call moderating variables. Then we have what we call the independent variables. So on this screen that you are seeing, the independent variables are the ones that can occur on their own. They don't need anything. So these four are independent of whatever is occurring. But the dependent variable is what we are looking for, the outcome variable. So here we have two dependent variables. We have behavioral intention. It depends on performance expectancy, effort expectancy, and social influence. Then use behavior depends on behavioral intention and then facilitating conditions. So for this to occur, use to occur, the behavioral intention should exist, and then the condition should be right, then it will occur. So the outcome variable is what we call the dependent variable. It depends on something. Then once here, what we call the independent variable, that are pointing towards this particular behavioral intention. Okay. Now, Please let me just use my annotations. Okay, good. So this one is a dependent variable depending on effort expectancy, performance expectancy, effort expectancy, social influence. But the use behavior is depending on the facilitating conditions. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. It's depending on it. Good. Now, another part of the variables is the fact that the one in the middle here is what we call mediating variable. It sits in between two people. Except me coconut man, I have to go and speak on your behalf. So behavioral attention speaks on behalf of the first 3 years: performance expectancy, effort expectancy, and social influence, in order to be able to achieve this. So to achieve use behavior, you go through behavioral intention. That's a mediator. I mediate the relationship. So without me, some relation can occur directly. Some of the relations cannot. For example, facilitated conditions can actually influence use behavior without a mediation of intention. Look, haven't you gone to Accra Mall before that you didn't intend to buy something, but you go there, sales, then you buy it? Why? Because there was no intention to buy, but the money was right with the product. The product and the money, the product, the promotion, and then your money was right. Well, it's just set. Somebody say abosso, like it connects together. And there are certain times that you have intention. The product is sitting there, but your income is not connecting. So you just look at it and say that one day, and just walk away. So in that case, it's not mediating, but this one is mediating here. It's mediating, so it's sitting as a mediator. Now, we have what we call here the moderators. The moderators tend to moderate the extent of occurrence, somebody say high, whether high or low. So maybe some females, some gender are more likely to have a higher influence or performance than them. Technically, when women are buying things, it's not just about the ease of use, but it's also about what the performance and the usefulness. So something may be easy to use, but if it's not useful to the person may not buy it. So the genders will show different attributes, different behavioral traits around performance expectancy and behavioral intention concerning a particular product. The same with age. A generation, when you have different generations, the millennials, I think you have heard about them, the generation X, generation Y, and then the baby boomers and all those other ones. And then one thing that you tend to realize is that certain generations which are more related with the technologies that of today, like the TikToks of today, the Facebook of today, they may likely say yes to an intention. For example, if they release a new iPhone, the people who likely like, even if money was an equilibrium, or was not money was not is not an issue, that you may have some type of some age group rushing and doing all their best to get the technology first than other groups, because of the fact that they are keener in responding to technological products. So age can be under, then experience. If the experience is not good, previous experience is not good, you may not want to get it. So, but you see that experiences can also influence facilitating conditions, but may not necessarily, and it can also influence, and age can also influence facilitating conditions. Good. The last one is voluntarity, or voluntariness. Even if somebody is your girlfriend, going to buy the iPhone for the person, you have to think about why you want to do it. Unless the lady has given you a no question or no brainer issue, and the facilitating conditions are right, you buy it. But if it's not, there has to be some level of voluntarity to say that I want to do it for you. That's why some ladies are saying that you say you love me, but you won't do this for me. You say, but they are equating love to the buying of the iPhone, which is not the right thing to do anyway. But at the end of the day, the man has to, or the person who wants to buy the iPhone for you, it has to be a voluntary offer. That is what Venkatesh was arguing, that voluntary has to do with that. But others argue that there are things that technology that people use, but it's not voluntary. For example, you're an organization and you are forced to use the technology, because that's what the organization says you should use. So you are not that you voluntarily want to use that one, but that is what you are forced to use because of what the organization is saying. So the UT-AUT model has become a very well-established model because of the fact that it has more variables it looks into, more scenarios it looks into when it talks about technology adoption than most of the previous ones. Because some of the previous ones just look at technological variables like performance and effort. Social influence has to do with something is non-technological. Facilitating conditions can also be non-technological. But and then gender and has to do with the person himself itself. So this one is a broader model, Now, despite this, so this is good for studying individuals and their propensity to or intention to adopt the technology and use it. The same with the term. But then there's another one by let me see if I can go back to good. So let me erase the screen. Eraser. Okay. Please, you can ask questions as we go on. Don't wait till it's a tutorial session, so you don't see me going too much in my slides. But the video has been given to you, so watch it next week. We'll answer your questions. But before next week, the next video will come earlier. Because this week we were now trying to form our groups. That's why it came late. Now this is coming Dillon and McLean. Dillon and McLean, there are two versions. So if you're looking for a look at AKEV, there was one in 1992, and after some 10 years after, people gave him critiques and they came back to modify. So the updated one came in 2003. I think there's even a more updated one. So it looks at, it tries to put the use of the technology in more of an organizational context. So there's information quality, the information you're getting from the technology, the system quality, the service quality. Then those ones can influence your intention to use the technology. And then the service quality can also affect your satisfaction levels. Now, if the intention to use is right, then it will lead to actual usage. If usage is confirmed to be useful, it gives a better satisfaction. Then if we look at the use can also generate certain benefits for the person and then the organization that he's in. So that's what you see in here, getting to net benefits. And then the same, if the user satisfaction is also high, it can reinforce the benefits. So that's what it talks about. And it's also used for studying not just intention to use, but also to study the benefits that people gain in using technology and how it affects their satisfaction. So sometimes when you mention certain words that you want to do as your study, the impact. Somebody says that you want to study impact of something. Questions are what theory can you use the word impact on? If I say I want to study the impact of maybe mobile let's say organizational capabilities on the impact of organizational capabilities on the performance of the organization. We're looking at the IS capabilities, the information state capabilities on the performance of the organization. I've mentioned capability, so I'll have to ask myself, is there any theory which has capability in it? So usually I tell students that whenever you use words in your long essay that you want to do, go to Google and check whether there are theories that are related to that word. That would be a good starting point to identify a good theory for the work. Okay. So we have this, I mentioned Leonard McLean, I've mentioned the UTH, and I've also mentioned the term. These are some of the theories that you come across during the semester. Okay. So going back to our slide, please, any question? Okay, there's no question here. Then let's go into our wrap up. Okay. Okay, good. So the research framework frames the research and tells you how the concepts of variables are related together. You saw me showing you how they're related together. Like in the UTH, you could see that a facilitating condition has a relationship with the actual usage, and all the other ones will have some relationship with the variables between themselves. So that's what we actually look out for when we are doing our kind of work that we explore in this particular course. Now, I talk about several examples in the video, some examples I've mentioned here. And then after that, I go on to explain that when you are doing a long essay, most of you will be doing long essay. The research framework is part of your literature review. So it should be part of your chapter 2. But if you are doing a PhD, usually to stand on its own, or an MPhil to stand on its own, but you are doing a master's program. So it's part of chapter 2. Part of chapter 2. Good. Then we go into the different types of research framework, and I explain all of these things. I'm not going to get into detail here. So what I want you to be able to get for today is to appreciate that technically there is the information system theories and methods for this course. Secondly, we also want to understand that in looking at the information system, there could be several theories. The theories have to serve the purpose for which you are trying to apply it to. So if you are doing a study on the technology, ask yourself what technology type of variables theories exist. If you are studying the people, user satisfaction, user friendliness, what type of theories relate to that one? If you are also studying the financing of IT projects, you can then look at what financial models or perspectives or arguments have been discussed in the literature that can help your work. If you are rather also studying impact, you want to look at impact at what level? At what level? And what type of impact do you want to look at? Is it use and impact or impact alone? All of these are things that you may want to consider when you are trying to understand what the research framework is and how it's applied in the literature that you have, you'll be coming across in our particular program. Now, one thing I mentioned earlier is that you'll be using this book, which is a free book on the, I put it on the class platform. And it's good. We did a compilation sponsored by Danida on what is a theory, what is a goal, assumptions, attributes of a good theory, classification of theory featured in the book, how are theory generated, theory and research framework, the linkages. Okay, let me look at that one. The research framework outlines the processes to study the variables and concepts concerning a phenomenon. Okay. It is called the research framework because it frames the research. It gives boundaries to the research by indicating what should be part of the research or not part of the research. That's true. It also helps the researcher to formulate the research questions. That is true. Because if I have a variable in it, I will have to ask questions on that. Does the researcher needs a research framework to steer the research? However, it's not all research that have research framework. That one I have to tell you the truth. Some people just use the questionnaire that they have, the research questions they have as their guide for the study. They don't go for any particular theory or any particular selection of a complex theory to do that. But it's all depending on what the person wants to achieve in the research. However, this research framework can be developed purely from theory. It can be called a theoretical framework, or it can be developed from the literature, concepts and theories to develop a tentative or a suggestive theory. That can be called a conceptual framework. So there's a conceptual framework and then there is a theory. The theory is what you use to carry out your research. But sometimes others can combine different theories together and then propose a new one to be used for the research that they are carrying out. The research framework can exist in the form of a theoretical framework or a conceptual framework. Conceptual framework consists of concepts, assumptions, and expectations and beliefs and theory that guide and inform the research. The conceptual framework is a conception of or a model of what is out there that the researcher seeks to investigate. So your conceptual framework is like your research framework. It's your postulation, your proposal of what you think you want to study and how the variables in what you want to study connect together. So it is therefore a tentative or a suggestive theory or the phenomenon that's being investigated. The theory is considered tentative at this stage because it's unsettled in nature and has been compared to an existing theory, which is already out there and can be drawn to inform the research. The tentative theory in the conceptual framework is a provisional guide, but that will inform the rest of the research work or design in terms of refining the goals of the research and developing the right research questions. Another view of the conceptual framework is to see it as something that the researcher constructs, not something that will be formed by the researcher in the literature. It means, therefore, that A lot can be borrowed from elsewhere with some coherence. This framework can be built by the researcher. However, the researcher cannot do this without paying attention to what theories have been out there. So what we do is that in trying to develop a research framework, we draw from other researchers. So if you look at the framework, the diagram I put in here, let me see. I think I close it. Let me just open it. Just give me a second. I want to show you a diagram. Okay, so good. Yeah, let me get it right. Give me a second. I'm just trying to show you. Good. Let me show you. Good. So this is this diagram, for example. Now, either I pick an existing theory, like the theory of plant behavior, the theory of the term itself, and I modify it and use it for my long essay or my research, or I can pick from the literature different factors and what people have said, put them together with some existing theories, and then develop my own conceptual framework. Anytime you are carrying out research, you are using a framework. The framework is a conceptual framework. You are conceptualize it, either based on the existing literature or based on existing theories. Your own view of how the thing should work in society, then you carry it to the field and go and collect data. But there are some research that doesn't necessarily use a research framework. For example, design science research, in which somebody is developing an artifact, he may not use a research framework. He might not use a theory in particular, but he can use a research framework to guide the framing of the issue he wants to solve within the particular study. So if I want to develop software, I can say that my research framework can be either the questions that the software should be able to address, or could also be the philosophy behind my development. I want to make it an inclusive software. I want to make it a participatory event. So every step I take is just to make sure the inclusivity and participation is part of it. So when you look at it here, I have the review. I can either review the literature and develop my research framework, or I can also start by taking an existing theory, modify it, and then go ahead and use that one to. After I've modified it, I can then call that one my conceptual framework. Good. So a research framework can exist in the form of the theory that is already in the research, or a modified theory, or that becomes a conceptual framework, or a research framework, a conceptual framework that has been developed out of literature, that the readings that you have had around. And I look at that into detail more in the video, so you can look at that later. Good. So what have I tried to do in this nutshell? The first 1 hour that we wanted to spend time together, I tried to bring you to an understanding of what you are required to do in this particular program. I tried to also introduce you to a syllabus. I also tried to give an indication of the different types of research frameworks that exist and what can help you to be able to achieve. And I pointed you to the fact that there is an exercise at the end of the slides. I want you to do it without ChatGPT's help and answer the questions and then send it to me. Okay. Apart from that, what we'll be doing throughout the semester is there are some time that we'll do group presentations. So keep that in mind. There'll be a time that we'll do group presentations. I think it's in the syllabus itself. Group presentation, where you end up presenting based on what I'm giving to you. So you have got group presentations in the 10th to 13th week. 10th to 13th week. Okay, thank you very much for today. Okay, there's even a 10 paper here. We'll talk about that one next week. Okay, so thank you very much. Into this intro class, just to introduce information system theories to you. The class video and slides have been shared with you. Go ahead and watch it, and then we'll talk about that. And gather your questions together on a piece of paper. Make sure that you have got questions for me. The next week I will answer all of them, and then go ahead and then share the link with you for the second one. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, Prof.
Yes, Emmanuel,
Yeah.
and then so please next week will be more engaging, because that time you have done your reading, you come with your questions. And if you don't come with questions, it will not go well with you because I'll call you to ask your questions from what you have done. And I've also give you an assignment already, which you are supposed to you submit on Friday evening, and then you come and discuss it in class on Saturday. Okay, Emmanuel, let's take your question. Make it quick.
Okay, Prof. Thank you. What about the assignment?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I want to know whether it's at the end of the video or which slide were you talking
Oh, it's on the last slide. I gave you the slides too already. It's on the last page. Let me use the
about.
PDF. Let me
The
use
slides
the.
I have were about 100 and something and 300 and something.
Okay, so good. You have all the slides for the next 3 weeks. That's why you have that one. Sorry, I didn't know that I'm giving that one to you. Okay, so let me. So I should give you a slide number.
Yes, Prof.
Slide 54. We are doing 15 minutes, so it will. We did the video is exactly 1 hour 15 minutes, so it's only 54. Slide 54.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't know I've given you all the slides. Sorry, I thought I've given you just a part of it.
No problem.
Okay, please. There's another question. Yes, please go ahead. The ladies, I've not heard your voice, any lady's voice today. Okay, Jessica, come and redeem your people.
Good morning, Prof.
Good morning. Yes.
Yeah, please, I wanted to confirm, do we submit it in PDF or Word documents? And do we use the font size 12, Times New Roman, double spacing?
Hey. Okay, no double spacing. You submit it in Word format so that Desmond and Co can give you comments on your answer.
Yes, sir. Yes, Prof.
For the first one, submit it, but and also bring it to class because we will discuss it in class.
Yes, Prof.
And please, if you pick something from the internet to help you explain something, cite it appropriately. That's why I said don't use ChatGPT to do this one. Cite it appropriately. There'll be times that we use ChatGPT. For example, I'll teach you how to use ChatGPT to analyze data, qualitative data and stuff. I'll teach you quite a number of good things. I even have a model of how to use ChatGPT to guide you to do literature review. I'll teach you these things, but I don't want you to use ChatGPT right now. So don't go for that.
All right, Prof. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you
Prof,
very much.
sorry, one last one about the assignment.
Yes, please.
Sometimes we are given assignments, the deliveries are not given, like what you expect from us. I don't know.
Okay, so
Maybe.
this is not a main assignment. The main assignment is in the text. So let's look at that one. This one is just being able to demonstrate understanding of the class, what you are being taught. That's why we even solve it in classroom. But it's important that you do it because it shows class as participation. So do it for your participation marks. Yeah, for your participation mark. But I understand you. But so if I take the syllabus, for example, let me just open the syllabus and just show you something in the syllabus. So look at page week 10, page 5 of the syllabus. There is a 10 paper in presentation. The government of Ghana through the GRA has since 1st January 2024 announced that all commercial vehicle owners, including ride-hailing drivers, must pay income tax. A study is needed to determine the feasibility or acceptability of the new tax regime among relevant stakeholders. Based on this preamble, develop a research title, a purpose, and 3 questions, 3 objectives, and their corresponding questions for this study. Conceptualize a framework for the study, and then design an interview guide. This is a group work. It's not an individual work, but it came in the exam as an individual work. This is a PASCO. So I want you to see how the PASCO is. But if you solve this, a similar question like this will come this year. Maybe this time it will be about something else. Not be about last beginning of the year. This was the issue that government was dealing with. Now we are dealing with other issues. Okay. So this one is, and then we'll be submitting it in week 10. Then in week 12, we will do the presentation to the class. So I will say that for each of the groups, you have 2 groups here. For each of the groups, try and have at least 3 groups in the class. I know they'll be big, but please, it's enough. I don't want to have plenty people presenting here. So you have 6 groups. So the class will be divided into 3. So they'll have 6 groups. And the 6 groups, please be active in your group and start work. So that you can start work as soon as possible. Start work.
Okay, Prof. So if I got you right, this is going to be the same question for the group assignments.
This is a group assignment, actually. It's a past question.
Okay.
It's at the end of the slides. So it's at the end of the syllabus.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay. So thank you very much. Happy viewing, meeting you online on YouTube when you watch the video. Please subscribe to the channel so that when I put a new one by Tuesday or Wednesday, you can easily see it so that you can watch it before. The videos are always going to be focused and finished in 1 hour, so that or 1 hour 15 minutes. That you can easily watch it and then gain some good insights in class. Then come into class and come and discuss. Our discussions in class will be recorded and also send it back to the website. So, for example, today's one has been discussed. This is the first tutorial session. We'll record it and take it back. We have recorded it, so we'll take it back to the website. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Please, you are going to enjoy this class. So please just relax. Don't be too much disturbed. Whenever you come to this class, just relax. Know that this is our home. This is not a place that we are trying to take a clean and you didn't come or you failed or no. We are relaxed. We are trying to understand society better through theories. That's all we are trying to do. So there's no right or wrong answer and stuff. We are learning very, very well. We'll learn from each other. We'll learn from you too. Thank you. Sedinam Kacha.
Yeah, good morning, sir. Please, this one doesn't directly have to do with what you just taught today, but it has to do with my thesis at the end of the program. Please, in our previous class in research, we were taught that if you're going to do a research paper, you should not look at a topic that has been overly researched
Yeah.
or one that is underly researched
Yeah.
when you want to, because of literature review.
Yeah.
But my question is, how does it get to that overly research if it doesn't start from somewhere?
Okay.
Because the
Okay.
topic I'm looking at, there isn't much information on it because it has to do with AI, and AI is new, as we all know. But
AI is not that new. It's been there for some time.
okay.
Depends on where
Yeah,
you
AI
are.
is
but
not
when I
new.
tried last semester to get information, but mine has to do with AI on customer experience and return on investment to the company.
Okay.
So when
So it's okay.
getting literary review was really scanty, but it's something I really want to look at because my
okay,
company is
so-
looking at introducing that, yes,
Okay.
a customer experience center, and I want to research and give them that paper that, okay, this is how much they're going to get, like in terms of return on investment. But my literary review is very small, and then so I'm not really sure if it's something I should go into based on the information I had from last semester.
Okay, so technically it depends on how you approach it. If you are looking at AI is just any other technology that anybody's adopting. What are you using the AI for? And you are looking at customer experience and and retention, if I'm right.
Yes, please.
Customer experience and retention. So what do you want the AI to do for you? Are you looking at the impact of AI on
the role of AI in customer experience,
So-
return on investment,
Okay, good.
ROI. Yeah.
No, customer experience is one. Return on investment,
Yes.
which investment? Return on the investment of AI or return on investment of what?
So I want to analyze how artificial intelligence can be used to quantify the impact of customer experience initiatives and demonstrate the return on investment of the customer experience improvements.
Okay, so this is it's because of the way you're conceptualizing it. The technology is not the one. Okay, let me explain something to you. The technology can enhance AI can enhance your customer experience strategy.
Yeah.
Once it enhances your customer experience strategy, you can be able to see whether AI has generated value. So before the customer experience strategy came, the AI-driven customer experience strategy came, what were you doing? And now that it has come, what has been able to enable you to do better?
Yeah.
Good. So if you conceptualize it like that, that is different. But if you are using AI to measure your customer experience efforts already, that is using AI as a measurement tool, that's a different story. So the first one, AI itself is the one driving the customer experience so that we can see that it has an impact on the organization. In the second one, you have your customer experience things already, but you want AI to do the measurement for you. So somebody can say that, good, so I'll pick data and I'll use either data science techniques or data analytics techniques to analyze the data and make informed decisions based on that one. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I get you.
So that one is different. That it's like me going to a hospital. I'm doing that with some students right now. I have data concerning performance of hospital patients' visits to the hospital, and I'm telling them that fertility issues are going high, whilst other things are going low. Analyze the data. So they are using machine learning techniques to analyze the data to tell me what is going wrong. That is using AI and other techniques to be able to look at a problem. The other approach is a book that we have written with Zelda here on staff on how we use AI to be able to support influencer marketing and other types of the creative economy. So, for example, I'm a marketing officer. I need to get my products out there. So I create an avatar using AI for using an AI tool so that it can be able to present itself as me to the consumer. So the consumer will feel that it's more user-friendly. It's like how they are using Abna in Bolt and using what's the name? Ajua in other platforms. Now, all those type of bots are trying to make sure they create a more intimate customer relationship. I can measure the impact of Abna in Bolt on whatever why it was deployed in terms of enabling people to book more Bolt services or something like that. If I do that one, then AI is what I'm measuring its effect on the organization. So it means that from well study, I have to get the AI, simulate it into an activity in customer service and measure.
Yeah.
Or that is one way. Or I can study different organizations and how they have used it and propose what my organization can use as options. So I study Gap, I study Target. I don't know what your company is. It a banking company or
No, oil and gas.
oil and gas? So I can study BP, I can study Tallow, I study different ones. Maybe I can how people are using AI for prospecting, or I can even study AI issues in the office activity internally. For example, I was in a Zoom meeting 2 days ago in which Zoom was talking about how they added AI to Zoom so that it can summarize some of the conversations that you're having. So by the time you finish, you tell you the to-do list, to-do activities and stuff, and they were showing us how to activate it. So
Wow.
I can study how I use that Zoom functionality on organizational meetings within Talo or within BP. But then when I'm using it for an office activity, but if I want to take it to the office to the oil operations itself, then that's a different level.
I get it.
Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
At 10:45, we'll have a very good conversation where we will look at everybody, what you want to do, and then I'll give you advice. Then we'll tell you how to start the research process. So please go and watch the video. And then, in fact, I'm not happy that you are now understanding why I said if I came and just taught, all these questions would not have come up. So this is what I'm going to do in the semester. By Wednesday, you get your video, you watch, you have enough time to watch it till Saturday. You come to class armed with questions, and we answer, we learn, and we ask. That's how we are going to learn. It's a very short time trying to teach and answer all your questions and get everybody to move along in the same class. It will be very difficult. I've taught this course for about 7 years now. I realize that it's not the best approach is to rather give them the video, watch it. That's even if they watch it. And Prof. Lawrence, we are supposed to wrap up. We are using
Yes, there is a short question. It's about the groupings you spoke about.
Yes,
Can I
please.
pick group members from group 2?
Yes,
I'm in
please.
group 1. Can I pick
Yes.
group members from group 2?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Because
I can.
we will present in one class, so you can do
In
that.
one class, so we can interbreed. Okay.
In fact,
That's
I
fine.
even agree, but make sure there's enough female in every group. At least female as much as possible, females should be 40% in every group. Don't go and do an all boys affair.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then. That's a very good question. Thank you very much. See you next week, 1 hour, 15 minutes, then we are off so that everybody can make use of his time. So you do 1 hour, 15 minutes on video, you come and do 1 hour, 15 minutes in tutorial session, then you are finished. Is that fair?
Yes,
Yeah,
Prof.
That's fair.
Sure, Prof. It's fair.
Thank you very much. Okay, see you next week. Zelda and Co. See you later.